courtesy to the Creator. We give courtesy to the ancients and ancestors. We give courtesy to the professors. We humbly bow to the four corners. Grand Professor, Visitation, V-Jitsu, Rule Jiu-Jitsu. Every technique has 1,000 variations. Supreme Grand Master, Dr. Moses Powell. Eye to eye, heart to heart. Sanuces, Rule Jiu-Jitsu, established in 1959. Divine Sanuces, simplistic, survival. Sand, product, come from, native to. You don't know nothing about this here, boy. God said walk on the earth, not in it. We don't teach falling, we teach landing. Though nothing hit harder than the ground. If he lives, he might get up, but he'll never be the same. Allow your art to be second nature. Big 1, 2, and 3, 1. Unify mind, body, and spirit. Only then completeness and enlightenment. Courage is the essence of the martial arts. Inner pride, dignity, self-respect. The strength to face danger without fear. The true test of a martial artist is to fight, not fought. Swell up so I can deflate you. You got to bring it to get it. We don't retreat, we circle. The smaller the circle, the more economical it is to get to the point. Simplistic. Survival. If it's more than simple, it's probably too much. Don't nobody ever mess up Kool-Aid, so save the sugar, just flow. Always moving, no still water, touch and go. Move, but don't go nowhere. Stay close, just enough for the city. He grabs me, I grab him. Hit the muscle, pull the skin. Hanging flesh and nerve endings. The irk get jerky for the jerky. You can take Sanuces out of your system and what do you have? You have your tradition. We're the evolution of tradition. The improvisation to the situation. The hawk spit before the hawkaroo hits. I'm cutting you off and setting you up. Taking your gun, breaking your fingers and giving your gun back to you. See, ain't no fun when the rabbits got the gun and got the hunters on the run. We bring them to the point of overstanding. When I'm standing over you, I'm overstanding. My eyes looking in your eyes. One finger pointing to my heart. It's more than one finger rollouts, bridge rolls and face outs. Sanuces, it stood alive beyond takes 1 through 5. Seen through the ever-watching eyes of D.O.S. Disciples of Sanuces. Imitation is the best form of flattery. If you like anything about me, you'll love my teaching and my teacher's teaching. Each one, teach one. Thank you, sir.
Doc was a very serious gentleman in the sense that everything that I wanted to be in life, Doc had attained it. I got into Sanuces at an early age. The age of like maybe 17 going on 18, somewhere around there. And I was basically going from my teen years into my adult years, and just making that transformation, going from being a young boy to manhood and having family. When I met Doc, he was this great man with great personality and great presence. To be in his midst, you were always in awe either of what he was saying or what he was doing. And I've always been impressed by him. I've always wanted to understand and see through his eyes on how he actually came up with a lot of the equations in his mind on how he dealt with certain situations.
When I was traveling with him on tour, and I never forgot it, and he said when the truth only has its own witness, there's only one truth. When I walk in the room, the truth walks in the room with me. Never forgot that, because I seen that there's so much truth in his technique, so much truth in his teaching, so much truth in just understanding it. And as you said, being in his presence just once, you would know that you were in the presence of a great man.
And he's a hell of a chess player, life-wise. That's one of the things I admired about him greatly. But you would actually have to be a true individual in order to see that side of him. Otherwise, you get the side that, as Doc would say, give the people what they want.
Oh, y'all ain't gonna like this. All day long, huh? Gravitation, huh? Ah. Any way you want to grab it, it's all right with me. Air pressure, look, yep, yes. Come on the spot. Get up. Come on. Whoa. Some people say it's impossible. You just saw it. And it's not a thing where he's letting you do it. The thing I'm doing it slow because I want you to see the surreality of what we're about. We're not wannabes. We're not a person, the people that reach out to the stars. We practice hard to work good results. Sanuces is such a thing as that. You understand? Now, if you grab your shoulder here and you take them off, you take a stump, you break it. Yeah, I said break it. Why not? There are no advanced techniques. It's just that when you rise to another level, so does your knowledge, right? And if you don't have basics, you have nothing. You're as good as you want to be. And by teaching, you become better. Such you go. I know you say it's magic. Well, how come I can't kapoof and disappear? How tight the bicep is, how strong the muscle, how big the chest. If I can grab something, you can forget it. Right? I have him. This is real. I don't feel anything. So therefore, I do it harder. And harder. And harder. I don't care who you are, where you are, bring it. And if the teacher's mad at the student, there's something wrong with that teacher. If the teacher becomes angry at the student, I'll say it again, there's something wrong with the teacher. You're supposed to ask the question until you get the correct, exact, surreality answer, right or wrong. But if you don't ask questions, you won't know either. If you don't practice, you won't have it either. When I look in the mirror, I don't blink. I look myself square in the eye. Whoa.
And again, I think you hit on all of the key points for him because he was a teacher's teacher, a man's man.
Dr. Moses Powell was a man's man and is a teacher's teacher. He was the ultimate people person.
He actually brought so much to the art because he never would tell anybody to discard whatever they knew. One of his favorite expressions was, put this to what you already know to make it better. And if you don't have anything, now you have something of value. And so many words now come back to me as an epiphany, as an aha moment, because he taught a lot of things indirectly to you, which you would come to realize yourself about yourself. And one of his favorite things was to teach you so much about yourself, because remember, your opponent is another human being. So the more you understand about yourself and how to break it down, the easier it is for you to do the technique.
Dr. Moses Powell is the type of man who can walk in a room and you can be the lowest ranked student in the building and he will make you feel like you're the most important person in the room. He just was gifted that way. There were, as he would say in Sanuces, there are no big I's and no little U's. So Dr. Moses Powell was the ultimate people person. He knew how to make you feel good about yourself. He would meet you wherever you were, whatever level you were on, and he would raise you up and make you feel good about it. He was a friend. He's a teacher, he was a father figure, a brother, and didn't matter what your rank was. Again, he would meet you where you were at, on your level, and then raise you up higher. A beautiful human being. I personally don't believe that he's gone. I think he's just physically not in our midst. He's somewhere. I feel him every day. He revolutionized Jiu-Jitsu. He revolutionized Kiwaza. And what he did with my martial arts, I come from Taekwondo, he took me places where I've never been before. And he just, I guess the best way to put it is the exact way he put it. I already had a cake with the proper ingredients. He came along and took that cake and he applied icing to the cake. So what Dr. Moses Powell was, he was the type of person who would take a person with a bachelor's degree and take them to a master's or a PhD. He was just a teacher's teacher. He was a good man, a friend, and he was real.
What you have to do is this. It's just like when you hear people speaking in terms of foreign languages and you hear the statement, well, something was lost in the translation. You don't want to water this thing down. You know, you don't want, just because Dr. Powell isn't on the mat today giving instruction, the only thing you can do is pass on what you have been taught to the best of your ability. Pass on what you've been taught to the best of your ability. You know, some of us have strayed. Some, they've gone into other things and tried to incorporate other things in. But if you teach, like I remember one day I was sitting with Dr. Powell and one of his students was on a mat and he says, does he look like us? And he didn't because he was doing something else. And Dr. Powell, one of his things was, if you're doing something else, please call it something else. Don't call it Sanuces. You know, please don't ride on this train when you're on another line.
It hit me one day that Sanuces rule Jiu-Jitsu is actually the way that Dr. Moses Powell gets home. Yes, we call it a system, but it wasn't a traditional system that was given to us. It came from Dr. Moses Powell, a gift from the Creator, I would like to say, because he was always talking about this book that he would read in the wee hours of the morning. He would get up and read this book, and in turn he would show up in class and pass on to the class what he read from the book. But Sanuces is definitely an urban flow. It's definitely a give and take, a touch and go. Well, I should say touch and go. You know, touch and go. That "and" sounds like a pause to me. And you might pause in training, but Doc always believed in getting off first, so it was always go.
But what I will do is give you some insight to what type of man, instructor he was. This incident happened in 2003. It was at his seminar and annual banquet that he had. And, you know, Dr. Moses Powell really wanted me to be there. Say for law, you have to come to the well and drink. So, some people helped me to get there because I just had to be there. And by the grace and mercy of our Creator, the Almighty Creator, I got a room. The next day, I had a nice breakfast. I gathered my things together, and I was about to leave. And Professor James came to me and said that, you know, Doc wants to see you. So when I got to the room, Doc was inside the room. He was sitting down, and I came. I gave salutations to him, and he said to me, you know, say, well, come on there, man, you know. And there was money on the table, and he said to me, he said, you need anything? Let me know. Do you need? Can I help you with anything? Now, like I told you, I didn't have no money, but I couldn't bring myself to ask my teacher for anything, even though he was offering, because I felt it was me who should be offering to my teacher and seeing if he needed anything. And it just, you know, it showed me, you know, the type of person Dr. Moses Powell really was. Everybody talking about, man, you know, you ever got a charge, but he only asked for that which belonged to him, no more and no less. And I thought about that, you know, how this I call him like a gentle giant, you know, loving instructor, loving man, caring, you know, and it made me reflect on how many people hurt him, you know, but not giving the same type of caring and loving affection to him, and not being there for him, and not, you know, not being able to give back for what he gave them, and being a shining example for other people to see that this came from Dr. Moses Powell. this is the core. If you want to know the core of Sanuces, this is the core of Sanuces. This man who can take you out at any time that he wanted to.
Inside of that time, I learned so many facets. If you know anything about Sanuces, which I know you do, you know that it's multifaceted in the sense that Dr. Powell transitioned, if we use decades as a mile marker, you have to put over 50 years of training there. The segment that I like to emphasize the most is nerve centers, pressure points, and what the doctor used to describe as making the body do what you want it to do.
Well, most people, when they say they have been touched by Dr. Moses Powell, they're talking about a physical touch. But when you're touched by him mentally and spiritually, that's the greatest touch that he could ever give you. Yes, he's touched me physically. However, the conversations, the uplifting conversations that he and I had will live on forever and ever. One time in my life, I was going through a very low period. And Dr. Moses Powell called me up and he said, hey man, look, all you need is time. Time heals all things. So pack your bag, come on up and hang out with me for a few days. And I went to his home and there was martial arts, kicking, punching, sweeping, but it was just conversation and good time. We had a fellowship. And he took my mind away from what I was going through and just helped me understand that life goes on. Whether you have a loss or if you have a major obstacle in your life, you have to overcome it. And that's what tells the world what type of person you are, what type of character you have. It's how you come out of a fall.
So the ukitori effect was always in effect. The uki meaning the person having the technique done on them, and the tori meaning the person doing the technique. So you never really learned anything one-sided, where you were always just doing it or you were always just taking it. I can honestly say I was privileged to actually throw Dr. Powell one time. I say that with great pride in the sense that, as I said before, not very many grandmasters would uki for you. They would show you what to do, but they would not uki for you. And that's the kind of person he was.
It's funny that you ask a question like that, because the type of relationship that